I'm Jeff Koinange, and this is Jeff Koinange Live. Tonight and throughout the rest of this holiday season, it's all about inspiration, inspiration, inspiration. Because, as they say, 'tis the season to be jolly. And that's what we want to do to our fellow Kenyans. There are some people out there doing some extraordinary things, and it's only fair that we recognize them. Like the young lady who's my guest tonight. First met her at a summit in Arusha in Tanzania and got to find out about something incredible, something amazing that she and her team are doing in the coastal province of Kenya, Kilifi and Kwale counties to be more precise. They call it moving the goalposts. And literally, that's what they're doing to young ladies out there, young women, bringing them together to play football and teach them the way of the world, if you will. They started this mission about 3 years ago, started by a woman by the name of Sarah Ford. And her team has been out there with 200 people the first year. And this past year, guess how many showed up? More than 5,000. Clearly, some people are doing some great things. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Listen up. My Twitter handle is @Koinange_Jeff. My guest, who is the executive director of Moving the Goalpost, Rachel Muthoga, their Twitter handle is @MTG_Kilifi. Sit back. Rachel Muthoga.
Thank you very much for having me.
Good to see you.
Yes.
I remember I saw you in Arusha that time.
Yes.
It was part of the Seagull Family Foundation Summit.
Yes, it was.
And they're part of, they sponsor?
Yes, they do support us. They support our organization, and they specifically support the work that we're doing on health.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's go back. Moving the Goalpost, which is a fantastic name, by the way. How did it come about?
So it started about 12 years ago, actually. And it started with a lady by the name of Sarah Ford, who was working as a journalist, and her skill and her expertise was football. She was a journalist, she was reporting, but she was also skilled in football. She'd played women's football. And so she looked at the environment in Kilifi. She was trying to look at an innovative way in which she could reach the girls who she could see were facing many challenges, but trying to look at a way where she could be able to impact them directly and then work on the larger community first. So football was the chosen forum, and it's been a wonderful ride. Yeah.
You know, football, especially women's football,
yes,
was pretty unheard of until a few years ago, right? I mean, women never played football.
True.
And it shows because the first year, only 200 showed up, right? Maybe they weren't so convinced.
Yeah.
But it's grown to, because it's a yearly program, it's grown to 5,000 this year?
Yes, 5,300.
What does that say? What does that
What that says is that, one, the community, because we work with girls from 9 to 25, which means that for a lot of them, parental consent is important. So it means that there's a lot of acceptance and there's an understanding of the importance of getting girls involved in sports, and specifically football. It's a team sport. It's also a sport that builds understanding of oneself, one's skills. And so we've really seen the development in individual girls, pre-participation, during participation, and the person that they later become.
So a young lady shows up.
Yes.
What's the process?
So every year we advertise, and we basically, the year begins in January with registration all the way until March. And what it is that we distribute the forms, and the young people will register. They have to bring in their field form. If they're under 18, they must have the parental consent. And we also need them to pay a 5 shilling fee. This 5 shilling fee is basically to ensure that there's some buy-in, that both the young people themselves and their parents understand that it's something that they're investing in and that they need to participate in throughout the year. And so once they register to participate in a specific field. So it must be somewhere where we've set up a field. And they must consistently participate, which means consistently be belonging to a team, playing in practices, playing in league matches, and continuing also to participate in other things that we organize for them. So this includes the other things, that the add-ons to the football, because it's not just about football. Football is wonderful, but then the magic of this is that football is just the beginning. So we're able to then add on other components that we add to the girls and their participation.
What are some of the add-ons?
So the add-ons are, one is that we have a leadership curriculum, and this leadership curriculum is designed to run throughout the leagues. And what that curriculum does is it gives them basic life skills, issues regarding responsibility, an individual role in society. We also talk about matters that affect girls their age, matters about puberty and growing up. And so we look at that, and they participate in that leadership curriculum, and this is done through peer educators. So we don't go as the adults and tell them this is what you ought to be doing. What we do is we use the training of trainers process, where the field that has now been set up, once they've done registration and it's March, when the team has just started, they will usually have an election. So we're talking about democracy. This is their first lesson in democracy and voting. And so they will elect, first of all, the field leader. They will determine who in that group will be the coach, who will be the referee, who will be the first aider, who will be the peer educator. And these people may not necessarily have those skills. And it doesn't matter. We tell them it's okay. As long as you're willing, that's fine. Then throughout the year, we will then take these who have been elected to be the leaders and take them to the training to be able to provide those skills. So the peer educators will be given the curriculum and trained on how to train their fellow youth on these topics. The coaches will then be taken in and trained on how to coach a team. The first aiders will come and be trained. So each and every one of them is building their skills. And if you re-register the next year and you want, last year you were a coach, you can be a referee this year. You can be a peer educator the next year. And so what that does is for girls who continue to participate throughout the years, then they can be able to take up different skills.
Are there any really good football players who would want to continue with the sport?
Yes, there are. There are girls who are passionate, who believe in, who really want to see themselves making a living out of football. We have had some successes. We have a girl who has gone all the way to the Harambee Stars women's team. And she's played in international matches. So she's actually one of the girls who they really look up to. The other girls look up to. We have girls who have gotten jobs as coaches, training secondary school teams, training other teams in the vicinity, and really are able to make a living even as we speak from their football expertise. And there are lots more who are passionate, who want to go out there and do it on a professional level. The challenge, of course, is that women's football in Kenya is still lagging behind.
Absolutely. It's non-existent almost. No, let's face it.
True. I mean, and I have to admit, because Moving the Goalpost participated in the 2013 Women's Premier League. And it's a league that did not end. And it was a challenge for us because in 2014 we didn't participate. And we realized, one, it was extremely expensive for us. Two, the fixtures weren't as fixed. The definition of a fixture is that it ought to be fixed. But the fixtures weren't as fixed. And so what that resulted in is that it was difficult for us to plan. It was also difficult because we had one of the youngest teams. Because for us, it's not about age. It's also about as long as you can get into the team, doesn't matter how young you are, as long as you're a good player, we're going to give you the opportunity to play, even at that high level. And so we had also had one of the youngest teams that was playing on the tournament. And so for us, it's a vision for us to see a stronger women's professional league that will then, we can feed in some of these girls. Not all of them are going to be professional players. Some of them, they're just happy to participate and they're quite good at either academics or they have other vocations that they want to follow. But for those who have that passion and those who have that talent, it would be wonderful if they're able to get into a professional women's league that they can participate in.
Yes. If they're still in school, and many of them probably are, how often does this happen?
So for those who are out of school and for those who are not in boarding school, this happens on a weekly basis. For those who are in boarding school, of course, it's a challenge. They usually would participate only when the schools have closed. But it should have, the teams actually meet and participate on a weekly basis. They get to pick and decide which day of the week they want to have their practices and do their matches. Because it's also about, yet again, giving them as much power. Because we want these youth to be leaders. We're saying, and we keep telling them, you're not the leaders of tomorrow, you are the leaders of today. If your leadership is in that field, you are the leader. Determine what it takes for your team to succeed. You have to do, the field leaders have to do record keeping. They have to ensure that any issues that arise in the team are dealt with, so they learn dispute resolution. And so for us, I see that as a wonderful incubation for the vocations that they will then take on in life. Wherever they're employed, they have all these management skills that, to be honest, most people never got a chance to learn at their age.
Yeah. Obviously, there's been a gap, and there's a need for something like this. Do you see the participation as something that they're really gung-ho about? Are they happy to be part of this program?
Oh, yes, they are. They're very happy to be part of this program. And actually, the greatest challenge for us is how to reach as many areas as possible. Because much as we're in Kilifi County, we have geographical areas of where we are actually participating. And so we keep getting calls saying, oh, we want you guys to open a field in our area. And so there's a lot of enthusiasm, there's a lot of interest, and then there's a lot of value that they can see that they derive from participating in the program.
The one thing we or the rest of us who are not in Mombasa, that whole coastal strip, what we think about, especially in the last couple of years, is youth unemployment, radicalization, the rise of Al-Shabaab and all kinds of militant groups, and them attracting the youth who have no jobs, who have no hope, who have no future.
Sure.
Right? Is this helping?
I think it does. One of the things that, as we're trying to talk to the youth and tell them, don't get radicalized, don't join those groups. Okay, so what else? What should I do as a young person who does not have options, who does not have any options for making a living? What am I supposed to do what's my alternative? And so giving these young people alternatives, telling them instead of doing this, instead of X, do Y. That's really important. And so groups like ourselves and many others, because we're not the only ones who are doing youth engagement, but youth engagement is really critical. And for us, and for me, my approach would be have as many of these programs as possible. Have them as diverse as possible. Get as many young people interested in vocational things that will give them the skills that will divert their attention and really remove the opportunity for those who intend to radicalize them.
Yeah. 2 out of 47 counties sounds like a really pathetic statistic. And obviously you guys are doing what you can. What more can be done? Because it seems like a no-brainer to me.
Well, one, it's an issue of capacity. Capacity here, speaking directly to the cost of running this program.
And I'm sure it's
right
expensive.
Now, it is. And right now I have a staff of 27. And so that's how many people it takes to be able to do Kilifi and Kwale County. And so to be able to expand ourselves, it would mean that we would have to have a bigger capacity, but there are also lessons that we've learned. And so we look at it two ways. We could keep expanding as moving the goalposts and have branches all over. Another thing would be to empower other people to run such programs. If a certain county or if a certain group or a youth group is interested, we've actually put our whole model into a booklet that we have, that we share freely, that we publish, and we would be willing to go over and train them and to say, this is what you can do with the young people in your area.
And why isn't that being done, Rachel? Because, I say again, it's a no-brainer, and this is something that people or counties, county governments, can implement in their youth agendas.
And I think I'm starting to see an uptick in other counties. I think I can quote Bungoma County, where we have actually been invited and we have participated through a process that they're going through with the support of the British Council. And what we've done is gone over and described to them and trained them and actually spoken to them about how we run our program. And they're interested, they're thinking about it. The governor and the deputy governor have shown a lot of interest. And so we hope that if we can see that, and if we can see more county direct injection of support, and because it's not just support, it's mobilization. It's not just saying, oh, we have this football program. There are many football programs, but it's also going into the community and saying, this is the value add for you sending your children. This is the value add for young people opting to come into this program. And for us, the value add that we show, especially when we deal with communities, parents, religious leaders and others, is that besides the football, they'll get the leadership curriculum. We also have a program on sexual and reproductive health. And what this program is trying to respond to is early pregnancy, childhood pregnancy, school dropout, all of those which are factors that are affecting young people, especially young girls. And then we also do an economic empowerment program. And the economic empowerment program basically looks at the challenges that the girls are facing, but then tells them, you have to think about how you're going to get over these hurdles and move on to the next level. So we take them through a goal-setting process, and we say, maybe you've dropped out of school, you're 14 or you're 16 and you've had your first child and school is no longer an option. So what's plan B? And so we take them through that process, and there are some who will say, I still want to be employed. And we'll take them through a CV writing, interview skills process, where we are enabling them so that they can be able to get into the job market. And then there'll be the other group that says, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to start a small business, or I have this talent, I can do bead making, I can be a musician, I can do this. And so for them, we will usually support them through vocational training. So we have the capacity, limited, but we have the capacity to pay part of their tuition to go back to college.
Do you have success examples of girls who have gone through the program and are now out there?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And, we have a musician. She's got her first CD out. Her name is Janet. She's grown up through the system. We have the footballer. We have girls who've joined the National Youth Service, which was previously unheard of in Kilifi. Young women signing up for the National Youth Service. And these serve as an inspiration for the younger girls who are looking up, who are in Kilifi and who are looking up to them and saying, I want to break out from the mold of what society is telling me are my options.
Yeah.
For the average person, it's if you grow up, just get enough education, maybe go to Mombasa and become a house girl.
Right.
And really, for us, we're telling them, okay, you have to try your best and use the little resources that we have and will help you, and to be able to look outside of that box.
Yeah. It seems like this is only something, and I apologize in advance for what I'm about to say, that Muzungus can fund. You're only getting help from outsiders. Are any locals jumping in, local authorities jumping in to chip in and help?
We've had some support from local businesses. I'm proud to say that we've had support from Safaricom Foundation. We've also had support just this year from Imarika Sacco, which is a local teacher Sacco in Kilifi, now nationwide. We've had support from Resolution Insurance, and so now we're getting a lot more interest, but it's taking a proactive stance and showing businesses that this is something that they need to invest in. And so hopefully, as that continues to open up, we'll be able to have a lot more Kenyan-based support. We also have support from organizations that are based in Kenya, but that may be granted from outside, but that believe in us and are able to support us. The Ustadi Foundation is one of those that has believed in our economic empowerment program. They have a fully local staff, and they're able to build our organizational capacity, even just us as the managers who are managing the program, and to give us the skills in terms of financial management, ensuring that we have all our structures in place, which is really important. It's not just about getting the money in, it's what you do with it once you have it.
Yeah.
So getting that type of support has been really helpful. But yes, we certainly could do with a lot more local support.
Yeah.
County government, central government, talking about, the government is really interested, central government is really interested in youth empowerment. We're talking about setting aside money that's specific to women, specific to youth, but then the feedback that we get is that these funds have been existing, but young people are not taking them up. Question is why?
Yeah.
We are the type of organization that can bridge that gap, that can be able to reach out to those young people and say, this is what the government has set up for you. This is how you're able to access these loans or these services that the government has set up. I will help you to walk through that journey. I will help you to fill this form, things that the government cannot do. And so it would be really helpful if the government would set aside funds to support organizations such as ourselves.
Yeah.
And also just because we work in the community, we're able to learn about things and triggers before they become pandemics.
Right.
So it would be really useful for us to work together.
Do you get some of these girls, some examples of girls who have become pregnant, who have attempted to be radicalized, who have dropped out of school? Do you get those examples and you turn them around?
Oh yes, we do. And for us, we look at it and we say, having one child when you're a teenager, yes, it's not the best option, but okay, it's happened. What happens next? And it's really a process. And a lot of our time and energy is also spent on working with the community to say, if this has happened to a young lady, don't shun her. Talking to fathers who have been raising their daughters, and once their daughters get pregnant, they're throwing them out of home. When we do a lot of time and energy spent on home visits, sitting, having a one-on-one conversation with a father and telling him, you have to support your daughter at least to finish high school. And so some of that day-to-day input, we've seen amazing results, where fathers who were not talking to their daughters, who maybe had not even spoken to them for a year, then turn around and are the ones who are coming to MTG to say, I want to ensure that my daughter is going to school. How is her football participation? And he is coming to check on her. And so I believe that it just takes a little bit of support, and you will see a turnaround in our society. And we can be able to achieve these goals that we are setting for ourselves as a country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly there's hope.
There's hope. That's definitely my message. There is hope. Yes.
I want to talk more about that, Rachel, after the break, and also the fact that you had this year your first ever peace conference.
Yes.
Because you're stretching out. I mean, you're branching out. You're inviting other countries in the region to come and participate. You had a peace festival. And also the First Lady's Beyond Zero campaign.
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
I want to hear more about what you guys have to do with that. Wow. Listen to this, inspiring young ladies through football. It's called Moving the Goalposts. Twitter handle is @MTG You guys also on Facebook, right?
Yes.
MTG
Kilifi.
And YouTube.
Yes, we have a YouTube channel, the same name. Yeah.
MTG Kilifi.
Yes.
My Twitter handle is @Koinange Jeff. The hashtag is JKL. Listen to these women empowering the young ladies, the future leaders of tomorrow. Wow. What a show. What a topic. Keep tweeting, and let's talk some more as we go into a break. We'll be back in a moment.